Welcome back to 7 Moons Astrology. I'm Sarah Kirby, and today we are talking about how we are closing out the end of 2021 from an astrological perspective. And let me tell you, it's jam-packed. We have a lot of really heavy, significant transits coming up here in the next 2 weeks and a lot of shifting energy. So what we're going to do is I'm going to walk you through the major points and I'll give you the dates for each. But know that this energy is live and active for the entirety of the time, and you have likely felt it building even before I am posting this video. So we're going to talk about what each of these things means, and I'm going to include a discussion about what I think the story of 2021 has meant for us and what we're meant to be learning and integrating around this time, because I see several tests coming our way. So to begin, we've got the winter solstice and the sun moving into Capricorn on the 21st of December. So the solstice is the time that marks the entry into winter officially, although I know most people are living in a place where it's been pretty wintry already if you're in the northern hemisphere at least. But winter is officially here as soon as we hit the 21st of December and the sun moves into Capricorn. On this day, the night is the longest and the days are the shortest. And so from an astrological point of view, this is actually sort of like a new moon when the moon is its darkest. This is a period of going inward, and it's a time of reflection and resting and looking back and understanding what we've accomplished this year and where we want to go and set intentions for the year ahead. So, we have this practice of setting our intentions at the Gregorian calendar New Year on the 31st. But really, if you were to ask me, the solstice is the best time of year to do that because it's when the night is the longest and the darkness is most open for us to go inward and kind of query and reflect. And so that's really what the solstice is all about. And because it happens at the same time that the sun moves into Capricorn, those Capricornian themes fold in as well. So Capricorn, by its association to Saturn, is really all about responsibility. It's about taking responsibility for where the year landed and what we're going to do next. And it's about putting in the work and the energy investment and the time to know where we're going and create the structures and systems that will help us get there. And of course, that is mirrored by the way that we have New Year resolutions and everybody gets back on the grind in January. Those are all Capricornian energies. And so that's really how we kick off the next 2-week period here, is with the time of thinking what goals have I accomplished and where do I land, and taking responsibility for that, and then also getting excited to put in the work and energy for the goals that we're setting for the next year, because Capricorn is all about goals and hierarchies and what we're achieving out in the world, particularly with our work. But Saturn's the ruler of Capricorn here, and that brings me into the next significant point over the next 2 weeks here, which is on the 24th, Saturn square Uranus coming exact again for the 3rd time this year. This is a really, really significant energy that has colored the entirety of this year, both at a collective level and in our individual lives. So Saturn in Aquarius, Saturn by its association to Capricorn is about governments. It's about the structures in society, like governments, corporations, it's work, it's hierarchy, it's leadership, it's our relation to authority, it's structures and it's systems. There can be sort of a Saturnian feeling of restriction. There's a feeling of having to put in a lot of hard work, and whatever Saturn touches tends to get distorted in nature by time. So you either sort of feel like everything that you're working towards is taking way more time and effort and being met with challenge and hardship than you would like, or suddenly things are kind of moving a lot faster than they should. It's time distortion. Saturn is the grandfather of time. And so it's really interesting. I've been talking to some people and hearing about how it sort of feels like time doesn't feel regular this year. And of course, the pandemic and being, the world looking a little bit different from a work perspective has influence over that. But I really think it comes down to this Saturn-Uranus energy here, where the time is distorted. And at one minute, it feels like, 3 minutes feels like an hour and 3 hours feels like 5 minutes sometimes, and you can't really get that clear. So that's sort of the effect of Saturn. But in Aquarius, you know, it's all about restrictions and rules and regulations that appear and arise for the good of all, because Aquarius is about altruism and Aquarius is about humanitarianism. But Aquarius also governs scientific thinking, the sciences in general, scientific thought, and it can be very dogmatic in its approach. It's a dogmatic energy. So when you get Saturn there, we see, of course, in society all of these rules and regulations in the name of science for the good of all, right? On the other end of this energy, we have Uranus and Taurus, which is all about awakening and freedom and connection to the earth. It's about awakening through relationships. It's about awakening through financial circumstances and trying to create a lot of change in that area of our lives. And we're urgent to do it, right? There's a lot of I'm so sick of this, I just want to change it all right this instance, but really not being able to change it as quickly as we would like or hope to, because it takes a lot of work and it takes a lot of responsibility and it takes a lot of time because of that Saturnian half of the component. So, you know, you can't throw the baby out with the bathwater, and you have to do things in a very measured and careful approach, especially because Taurus, where Uranus is stationed, is about doing things with persistence and commitment and a steady, patient approach. So the year of 2021 has really been about gradual, incremental awakening in the face of challenge and hardship. The square between Saturn and Uranus has come exact twice before this year. First it was in February and then later in June. And around the entire month period that this is happening, we can feel just this itchiness of wanting to escape all of the challenge that we're confronting, and just a fatigue and a tiredness and an exhaustion with the work. By this third square, which is the final square for this year, and actually the final square period, these two planets will come close to an exact square next year in the summer within 2 degrees, but it's really not the same, and it will look very different than it is this year when the planets come exact. So for all intents and purposes, this is really the final square, and it's the time to really integrate the lessons of these energies in our lives. Happening, of course, on the 24th, which is a big period of holiday and celebration for a lot of people, where we're spending time with our families and our loved ones. And we're also, in a lot of cases, purchasing gifts and having to spend money that we wouldn't normally be spending. And so the situation is ripe to bring up the wounds that we've been working through this year and the insecurities that we feel in those areas, and the things that we're trying to alchemize and change, that we've been working really hard to alchemize and change this year. And there's going to be an experience of frustration over where it's still the same. And there's going to be tests that, trigger you. Tests that trigger you to see how committed and how steady you can be with your awakening, and how much spaciousness and liberation can you feel in your own heart, despite what the external circumstances around you reflect. So, this transit always brings up where we feel most burdened. And Uranus is all about awakening through chaos. So situations that we don't expect or can't predict can definitely arise around this time. And what I would challenge you to do is to see everything that changes around you, and to see everything that is not within your control as happening exactly the way that it needs to be. And it's happening in a way that ultimately leads to a greater long-term stability. So even where it doesn't feel like that in the moment, these lessons and these experiences are meant to catalyze stability and longevity. Taurus is all about stability and longevity, and Saturn matures with time, right? When we respond to the lessons and the hardships of Saturn appropriately, we create something that is so stable in the long run. And so by this third and final square, we're really meant to be we're meant to be responding differently than we have, right? Because we've had experience with this transit now, and we're approaching the final pass. And it's like, okay, are you going to do the same thing that you've always done? Are you going to react the same way that you always have? Or have you learned to respond in a different way? That's what this is all about. A day later on the 25th, Venus conjuncts Pluto, and this is so significant because it ties into the whole story. Venus conjunct Pluto in Capricorn has happened once before on December 11th while Venus was stationed direct. It was moving direct in the sky and it hit Pluto. And Venus is the ruler of Taurus. It's about relationships, it's about money, it's about our relationship to self-love and appearance and self-esteem and things of value, including how we treat ourselves. It's about harmony and balance and beauty in relationship. It's about fairness and equilibrium, and it's about our feelings of comfort and security, both in our own hearts and in our partnerships and in our pocketbooks, right? That's what Venus is all about. Pluto is about truth. It's about desire, and it's about fear. So it's about transforming what we don't want into what we do want by having a laser-focused approach on what is really true and real underneath all of the confusion that we've experienced this year, all of the challenge that we've experienced this year. So when the two come together, it's about transformation and alchemy in love and money. Love of self, love of others, and of money. It's about a change in values at the core soul level that ultimately is supposed to manifest in the real world because it's in Capricorn, and Capricorn is an earth sign. And as Venus rules Taurus, where we've got Uranus and Saturn making a square at the exact same time, this is about actually showing up in alignment with what you value here, now, in the physical reality, and making the choices that reflect that. So now we've got Venus conjunct Pluto happening again because Venus just went retrograde on the 19th, right before the solstice. So all of this energy is happening at the same time. Venus retraces its steps and it comes back into a conjunction with Pluto again. And it asks you, okay, what do you really want? Not even what you really want. What do you really need? What's most important? And a lot of times that's not the same thing as what you want. But you're being asked here to make a choice that's different than the way that you've always reacted before. And you're being asked to make a choice that's aligned with what you desire most deep down at a soul level. It's what you know you need in the long term. In the long term. How do you create security, comfort, self-love, love of others, beauty, harmony, and financial abundance in the long term? What must you sacrifice today in order to get it? That can really come up when you look at Capricorn energy. And what needs to be transformed here and today? How are your values shifting, and can you own the truth of that? And can you back it up with choices and incremental change and a steadfast commitment? That's what this energy is really all about. So it's a dicey end to the year, and all of this is happening exactly during the holidays. So yeah, I think that this is the third and the final and the hardest test. But I think we've learned a lot this year, and it positions us well to really understand what's going on inside us and to have the bravery of heart, the liberation of soul, and the self-discipline required to make the choice that we know that is best for us in the long run. And it's always the one that really scares us the most. So then we are ending the year with Jupiter moving into Pisces on the 28th of December, a beautiful, beautiful energy. Jupiter rules Pisces in traditional astrology, so its energy works well here. It manifests beautifully, and it has an easy time just expressing itself. It's kind of like when you're in your home sign, when you're living at home and you're at home and everything's easy and you're comfortable there, that energy is really fluid. So Jupiter expands on everything it touches. It's the great benefic. It brings opportunity and good fortune to that area of our charts. Pisces at large rules our dreams and our fantasies. It rules illusions, it rules art, it rules fantasy. So with that, you can really see that you feel expansive, and you feel imaginative about what the future can hold. And Jupiter is really going to increase feelings of compassion and connection, both with spirit and each other in the world. It's a very pleasant energy that I think will bring some softening to the intensity we've had this year and some of the intensity that's still to come next year. But we also have to keep in mind that Jupiter expands on anything that it touches. So, it doesn't just expand on the positive qualities of Pisces. It also, will increase the existence of some of the less ideal characteristics of Pisces. And some of those things are things like self-sabotage, escapism, drug addiction. All of those things are Piscean ruled. And so you can really see people who have struggled with those sorts of things it can go one of two ways. People who have struggled with those sorts of things can find greater ease and healing and growth, because Jupiter is all about growth and ease. But we can also see society at a large kind of engage in more of those activities. So it might look like that as well. Pisces governs medicine, pharmaceuticals, doctors, that sort of thing, those professions, and chemicals in general. So drugs and pharmaceuticals will continue to be a large theme while Jupiter is in Pisces, as they have been already this entire year. So, ultimately, I think you should just focus on take a look at your chart, see where Pisces is, and expect to really see that area of your life open up in 2022. And you're probably already starting to feel a sense of dreamy, kind of magical sense of possibility opening up in that area. So you got to check out your chart for that to see where Pisces occupies. Whatever house is there is going to be blessed by the great benefic in 2022, for the better part of 2022 at least. So that's a little bit of what we have closing out the year. And I think my closing message to everyone is just to see if you can't take a step back and zoom out and watch what is happening in your present day experience from the place of knowledge and wisdom that you've gained from the hardships that you've had this year, and see the bigger picture of really how you want to stay committed to the changes and the growth that you've been seeking in the area of your chart that's been affected by the Saturn-Uranus square. And just know that this year has definitely not been an easy one for anybody, and you are prepared for the test. So happy holidays to everyone out there. Wishing you a beautiful solstice and a happy new year. Thank you so much for watching and for being with me here at 7 Minutes Astrology with Energy.